Hi everybody, and welcome to GoblinBrawlGang. This is an app designed to be a replacement for Cobalt Fight Club. Cobalt Fight Club recently went down. It's a web app. It went down. It was used for D&D 5e Dungeon Masters to build encounters, and it's not available any longer. I find it critical. It's a critical tool for my dungeon mastering experience, so I have remade something in its spirit here. So this is what we're going to see when we take a look, when we first open up GoblinBrawlGang. So we start with 5 players on the left side. They're all level 5. We can change their levels here. And that's going to be used for um, building the encounter's XP budget later on. Right, so we start with 5 level 5s, but we can very easily get rid of them and say, hey, we would like 4 level 3s instead. Or we could go up like this. It doesn't really matter. So then what we're going to do is we're going to, say we've got 4 level 4s, and now we would like to generate some random hard encounters, right? So we can click this button however we, as many times as we like, and very rapidly we're going to get some more options. These are just sort of random draws from the CR list, random draws from the possible combat ratings creatures could have. So not all of these will be at their XP budget, but they won't ever go over it, right? So like this one has one half CR creature and one CR3 creature. So 2 creatures for 1200, but if we keep going here, look, this one has 10, right? So this one just has 1. So there's lots of options here. And say we find one that we like. Say we want to put 10 creatures out there, so we can just kind of roll until we find 10. Oh, there was one. I went right past it. Here's another one, right? So I can hit select, and that will open up this new window. So forget about this for just a moment. So this is the encounter builder. So on the left side here, you know what, actually here. So we've selected this encounter, but look, we can make a new empty encounter here. And I just want to show you that this is the same window. Right, we've got all these buttons on the left side. And here I've imported the list of mobs based on their CR, right, from this original window. So if I were to add these, I add 2 CR zeros, a couple eighths, 4 quarters, and 3 halves. All right, now these windows, well, I think I messed up. I think I added 1 too many quarters, so I can delete that guy. And now it's the same window, right? So I'll get rid of one of them. Down here, so all these buttons, right, you can see I can add new creatures like that. Down here are a couple little info tabs. So this one on the left is going to tell you the multiplier that you have to apply to the XP based on the number of players in the party, right? So you can see we've got 4 players. Let's add some players. So it didn't change because it's 5, but when we change to 6, look, the multipliers have changed, right? So in essence, when there are more players, you have a higher XP budget as the Dungeon Master building the encounter. Okay, so let's get rid of one. Unless we can go all the way down to, I think, 2, right? So we go up, right? So there's a few options. Let's bring our players back here. You might have seen this right box also changes with the number of players. So it displays the current adjusted XP cost, right, of the mob list we have here. So if I add another Z, right, we go up some. And that depends on, right, the multiplier and everything. So I'm going to delete that guy back out. So it's telling me this is a deadly encounter for a party of 5 level 3s, right? And you can see how if I were to add a player, right, this changes. So I'll remove a player. So creature count, that's just how many creatures there are. And that's easy to reference against this more static table, right? So a lot of the times when I build an encounter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from scratch. And I'm going to say I have 5 level 3s. So I would like to hit maybe 10 creatures. 10 seems like a good number, right? It's right at the top of that threshold. So I'm just going to add 10 of these and see how that plays out, right? So that's 625. That's only a medium encounter, maybe I can get rid of some of them and put in some quarters. Right, so now it's a hard encounter, and that's reasonable, but we could keep going, right? We can optimize very easily here. Right, we can get rid of all these guys. We can try to make it, sort of a max deadly encounter. So we could go up to 2,000, right? So there's what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of play here. I think we're getting close. There, right? So here I've got what? I've got 4 CR 1/4s, and then I've got 6 CR halves. And that's a max budget deadly encounter. Right? I think this is probably about as hard as an encounter could be, personally, but your mileage may of course vary. Another neat feature is going to be being able to fill the encounter. So there's a couple different ways to see it, but let's look at the filters first. So I can toggle the filters, and this brings up all the different ways I can filter the creatures. So I could say something like, I have this list of CR mobs, right? I don't know anything about them but their CR. And I know that they're going to cost that much experience points, right? I can afford this encounter for this party. So I'm going to say, I would like them to be... Can I make them only constructs? So then I'll hit fill encounter. And look, we were able to find constructs for all of those CR values, right? So these are all constructs. Right, and now say, I like the flying sword, but I don't like the Piddlewick 2. So I'm actually just going to replace the Piddlewick 2. So now we have, these are all of the CR 1/4 creatures, right? So I can say, I want to be sure I'm looking at only the constructs. Oh, and there's a flying sword, so let's get another one of them. All right, so we have him in there now. Right, here he is. So we could do that, make the encounter as we like. Say maybe we don't want constructs, we can unfill it. And we go back to the CR list, right? So we say we didn't like actually constructs, we wanted them to actually be cave creatures. So we'll see if we can find this many cave creatures, right? I'm sure there's cave creatures for CR 1/4 and CR 1/2, so I'll fill. There's no creatures, look, there's no constructs in caves, right? So I have to get rid of this. Right, we got goblins, rats, fungus, right? All these good things. Swarm of insects. All right, so I can adjust this as I like, but you know, maybe I like this 10 creatures, but maybe I want to go down to 6, right? So I can just very easily delete down here. Now we have a hard encounter. You know, I think it goes without saying, but we can unfill and we can reset the filters so that we can now fill it based on no filters at all, right? So these are randomly drawn from anything. They're not filtered whatsoever. So say I reset it, we go back. Something else we can do is say we have an encounter, maybe it looks like this. We got a 1, 2, 3, 4. And it turns out this is a deadly encounter. Maybe that's much too hard. So let's bring it down to a hard encounter, right? So we got something like this. And we say this is a hard encounter, but you know, maybe I want some kind of different hard encounter. Something with more than 2 creatures, right? I can pull this one up and very quickly fill it. And there, now I've got a different hard encounter, right? I got this one over here, which maybe I like, but maybe I want more creatures, right? Right, so that's completely doable. Another way to use it, right? I think the encounter builder is going to be the main way it's used, but there's also the creature finder, which we could use to do something like this, right? We type in a couple letters, and it's going to filter by everything that starts with KO. So, you know, it's maybe looking for kobolds, right? But here we can see them all. We can also sort by CR. I guess that's the other different thing. So when you're in the encounter builder, you already know the CR, right? So I can add several of these. And if I build up if I bring up the creature finder here, it's only going to show me the zeros, right? And I don't have that option here, but I have the option here. Right, so maybe I want to look at, like, what is the most interesting CR 1/4 creature? I don't know. I think that's what these are here, and I can scroll through these, and there's not so many. But maybe I want some other filter. Are there any larges? Any large 1/4s? Sorry, large 1/4s. Yeah, so this is more readable. Big snake. Lots of beasts, right? Or they might all be beasts. Okay, so that's that's informative. Can we have any giants? Not at a 1/4. No, how big do we... What's the lowest level huge creature? Lowest CR. They must all be pretty high up. So I see some 9s. Oh, here's a 2. right? Yeah, okay. So it looks like 2. Tree, elk. Quetzalcoatlus. Quetzalcoatlus. Giant constrictor snake. So you can see how there's utility in this. You can find creatures you like. Something I like to do actually is to come down here and say, I just want to make sure I got some non-goods. Show me what all the non-goods were. And you see how that took a moment, right? There's a lot of non-good creatures, right? So maybe I'll add something else, right? Maybe I got an ocean campaign, so I want non-good aquatic creatures, and this is more manageable, yeah. But I don't want to read all those still, so I'll say, maybe not even just non-good, but I want to make sure I've got one that's explicitly evil. Okay, this is just 1 page, right? So I look at this and I say, yeah, I can't quite afford a kraken, but a monitor lizard could be good, right? Sea hag is fun. So lots of ways to use it. And I think it does a really good job at building encounters. I like it actually even more than Cobalt Fight Club, which I think is very good, and I still want it to come back. But this is something that works for me really well right now. So thanks for watching. This has been GoblinBrawlGang. If you have any questions, please just let me know. Thank you. Goodbye.